Today I want to talk to you about injuries in jiu-jitsu. Now, none of this is medical advice. This is just coming from my years of experience teaching and training jiu-jitsu and just seeing things that have happened over the course of that time. Now, jiu-jitsu is a physical martial art. It's a hands-on sport, and just like any other hands-on sport, injuries can happen. It's important to understand that. Now, the emphasis on injuries in jiu-jitsu should be placed on prevention. If we can prevent an injury from happening altogether, that is obviously the ideal scenario. But like I said, injuries will happen, and we need to understand how to handle injuries when they do happen, how that is going to affect our training, and what we can do moving forward. How do we prevent injuries from happening in the first place? My biggest piece of advice would be to slow down. Go slow when you're drilling techniques, when you're learning new moves, and especially when you're sparring, especially with a new partner as well. If it's the first time you're working with someone and you guys haven't quite figured out each other's game and the way that you each move and do different techniques, then the emphasis should be placed on going slow, more like a flow roll, where you're feeling the techniques instead of going all out to test each other, going fast, quicker than your brain can actually process where you're headed next, and then that's how injuries can happen. You also need to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and your partner's strengths and their weaknesses. Depending on the type of game you play or the size and the physical attributes of you and your partner, certain injuries can become more prevalent. With bigger, stronger opponents who like to stack you up when passing the guard, it's a little more common to maybe injure your neck, your low back, or even your ribs. When people pass the guard and they're coming around your legs and they're trying to close the distance to get down in side control, if they don't have the upper body strength to lower themselves down a little bit slower, they can come down real fast and they can injure your ribs. If you are a half guard player, you need to understand you're going to spend a lot of time on your side, maybe getting your shoulders crunched up, people trying to cross face you, so shoulder injuries and neck injuries may be a concern of yours. You need to know what game you like to play, you need to know what your partners like to do, and when you know these things, you can help put some barriers or put some tools in the way to help prevent some of those injuries that may occur. Now, if an injury does happen, you need to let your partners know and you need to let your coach know. It may be as simple as just switching up the position that you're training that day, avoiding certain techniques that can re-aggravate the injury that you have. If we have an injury, we want to let it heal. If it needs treatment, you need to go get treatment. But oftentimes we can train around those injuries. If you have a sprained ankle, well, maybe we don't want to stand up and try to pass the guard. If you have a sore shoulder, you need to let your partner know. So if they start to attack that shoulder with Americanas or Kimuras, they need to be aware that you're going to tap fast, tap early, and that they need to go low, go light, or they need to avoid attacking that shoulder altogether. You also need to let your coach know, so that way if they do see you doing a move differently or avoiding something altogether, they know why. Your coach will never force you to do a position that you're uncomfortable with. They won't force you to do a technique that you think may re-aggravate an injury or make an injury worse. So please, let your coach know, let your partners know, and see if there's a way that you can work together to train around that injury to not re-aggravate it, while you can also stay on the mats, you can keep drilling, you can do some light sparring until you're feeling better. If possible, don't let an injury keep you completely off the mats. If you need to take a little bit of time to let the body heal up, that's completely understandable. But in situations when we can train around the injury and keep that routine of showing up to class so we don't get in a habit of skipping out on class, staying home, watching TV, playing video games, or whatever else, we need to keep the routine. When we show up on the nights that you show up, you stick around for the time that you normally stick around, so that way, when you are healed up, you didn't lose your routine, and you're right back into it. You're ready to keep on training. Sometimes, people will show up to the academy, they know they can't train, their back is hurting them, their neck is hurting them, but they just want to take part in class. They just want to sit on the mats or sit off to the side and experience the environment that jiu-jitsu has. One of the best things about jiu-jitsu is the social environment. That's one of the things that keeps people coming back to jiu-jitsu. They get to see their friends. They get to have some stress relief. They get to have some fun. Don't forget about those benefits of jiu-jitsu. So even if you're just showing up, sitting off to the sidelines, watching class, still seeing your friends, getting that social engagement that we all need, it's still very important. Don't let that injury keep you from receiving the other benefits that jiu-jitsu has to offer. If an injury does occur and you do need to take time off of the mats, I encourage you to do some studying on your own. This could be a good time to let the body heal, let the mind reset, but we don't need to stop the learning. I encourage you to continue to study. Maybe that's watching competition footage on YouTube. Maybe that's buying an instructional and learning some new moves. Maybe it's going back and watching some old footage of yourself to see what we need to work on. This can be a great opportunity to take a chance to look at your game and reflect on it and see what we need to work on, maybe add some tools, so that way when you are healthy and you're ready to get back on the mats, you have some things to work on and you can jump right back into it. If you're newer to jiu-jitsu or coming back after taking some time off, one of the best things you can do is ease into your training. I've seen time and time again, people start jiu-jitsu, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, and they want to train all of the time. So they're there 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, maybe twice a day, training hard, rolling 5, 6, 7 rounds. And then after a few weeks, injuries start to pop up. They start to get worn down and their body just can't handle it. They start to think that jiu-jitsu isn't for them. Maybe they're too old. Maybe they're not in good enough shape. Maybe they've missed their chance to train jiu-jitsu. This doesn't have to be the case. You wouldn't try to start running a marathon by hopping off your couch and running 10 miles back-to-back days and then getting upset when your knees start to hurt and think that running isn't for you. The same applies to jiu-jitsu. You need to listen to your body, you need to ease into the training, and you need to take some time off if you feel like your body is wearing down. Now, what does time off mean? Does it mean completely off the mats, or does it mean you're just not rolling that night? Maybe you're rolling with different people. It's okay to be picky with your training partners at times. You don't always have to go with that guy that's going 100 miles an hour every single night. You can take some time off, grab some different partners, let them know what you're dealing with, let them know you're a little worn down, and then let the body heal. That way, you don't start adding up injuries on top of each other and then start to think that jiu-jitsu is something that's not for you. So I actually filmed that video a little while back, and I'm glad that I held on to it because I've actually been dealing with a little injury of myself, and I just wanted to echo some of those points or some of those talking points that were in that video. So over the past few months, I've been dealing with a left knee injury, and I've been selective with my training partners. I've been trying to roll with people that I'm able to predict a little bit more. I kind of have an idea of what they like to do, and because I have an idea what they like to do, and I know my own game as well, I'm able to predict what positions we're going to end up in, and I'm able to protect my knee and avoid some situations that could aggravate my knee or make it worse. Another thing that I've been able to do is when my knee does flare up a little bit, I take some time off. I rest a little bit. I'm still here at the gym. I'm still at the academy, enjoying the environment and talking to people and getting that social aspect. But there's nights that I definitely train a little less. I don't go as hard, and I just let the knee recover. That's going to keep me on the mats and keep me training. And then I do have to have a little procedure done on the knee, clean it up a little bit. So while I'm out for a few days or a week or so, I definitely plan on studying. I plan on watching some footage, looking at some instructionals, and seeing what I can add to my game. So when I come back, I'm ready to go. I'm going to have techniques. I'm going to have positions that I'm looking to train, and it's going to keep me engaged, keep me excited about training. So I'm not letting this knee injury completely keep me off the mats. I'm not letting it, derail me mentally or physically. And when I come back from this knee injury, I'm excited. I'm ready to get back to training, and I've got some stuff that I'm going to be working on. So if you guys are going to go from white belt to black belt, you definitely will deal with some injuries along the way. I hope that You know, the emphasis on safety and preventative measures can keep injuries small, but doing something like jujitsu, you may twist an ankle, you may sprain a wrist or a shoulder or something like that, and you need to learn how to navigate around these injuries so they don't completely derail your training. You know, see if we can change our mindset a little bit when we look at injuries instead of this horrible thing that happened to me and I can't train jiu-jitsu anymore and, you know, my body just can't take it. You know, maybe this is a time to let other areas of the body rest, let the mind rest, and work on our jiu-jitsu in a different frame. All right, guys. So I hope this information helped you a little bit, and I'll try to update you a little bit as far as my knee injury goes as well too. And happy training.